The official end to tax season is here. And so tax season is technically over. I know you still have lots of things on your plate, extensions to get through. But before you move on or before you take too long of an extended, well-deserved break, I wanted to remind you that right now is actually one of the most important windows of time that you have all year to fix what didn't work inside your firm. So in this brief video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you can do right now inside TaxDome so that you can fix what didn't work from this past tax season and make sure that you're capturing all of that so that you're not repeating those same mistakes next year and we're making things ultimately easier, not harder. This is not meant to be a lot of heavy lifting. I know you are tired. I know you want to take that extended vacation, which again, you absolutely deserve. So this is just going to be a moment to pause and reflect and start to think about what you need to do moving forward. So by the end of this video, you're going to know what you need to review while everything is still fresh from this past tax season, what to fix inside of your pipelines and workflows, what not to touch quite yet, and how you can set yourself up so that next year really does end up running a lot more smoothly. Okay, so this time of year is really important, and most firms definitely wait too long because you want to move on to other things. You want to take that break. Totally reasonable, but it's really easy to forget all the things that happen during tax season and really to push that off and wait. We get a lot of calls in January firms that are ready to start fixing things, but A, there's not a lot of time come January, and B, there's really a lot of knowledge lost between right now and January. Right now, everything is still fresh in your head. You and your team can remember exactly what was slowing you down, where your clients were getting stuck, where your team maybe felt a little bit confused about the process. And if you wait too long, even a few weeks, you're going to start losing some of that clarity. So right now, it's not necessarily about rebuilding everything. It's really just about capturing and cleaning up to set you and your team up for success. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to take a look at are your bottlenecks. This is where you're going to want to identify the specific things that weren't working throughout tax season. We're talking about where did your work get stuck? Where did the pipelines not move the way that you expected them to? And where did you find that you had to step in or someone on your team had to step in manually to do things that maybe you thought should have been automated or maybe you thought they were automated and they just didn't work? Inside of TaxDome, this might look like some of your stages that got overloaded with a really long list of jobs and they weren't moving the way you thought they were. Maybe they were sitting in these stages for way too long and you were having a hard time really tracking what was happening and what wasn't. And also it could look like missing triggers or automation gaps. Again, maybe things that weren't being triggered the right way or weren't automating the way you expected. What this might look like for your team is you sit down, you walk through a pipeline, or maybe you just start kind of throwing some notes together, getting everyone's feedback on what were those gaps, what didn't work, and what are some things that you want to make sure that you look at. Again, that doesn't mean that you have to fix everything today. You're just going to take the time to identify the things that were broken. Having said that, we do then want to start to transition into fixing the biggest workflow issues. You don't necessarily have to do those right now, but you do want to take a look at things like overcomplicated pipelines, missing task ownership, broken automations, any sort of organizer issues that you have. Maybe just pick a couple of those and document these and start thinking through when you want to take the time to fix them. The key is to document it because again, we don't want to lose all of that knowledge, over the next few weeks. So you can document this, have someone on your team do it, and really just to start to identify what those gaps and issues are. We're not trying to get this perfect right now. We're just trying to start to identify so we can remove some of that friction that you guys were experiencing over tax season. We also want to spend a few minutes, probably more than a few minutes, we want to spend a little bit of time cleaning up the TaxDome environment. This is something that's really practical for your team and it's really necessary so that you can move into the next stage, finishing up your extensions as well as just fixing your processes. And having a cleaned up TaxDome is going to help you and your team be able to do that. So what this can look like is it is closing out all of your completed jobs, making sure those statuses are correct. We want to clean up our pipelines, make sure all of the jobs are where they are meant to be. We want to archive the ones that are no longer relevant. And also, this is a really good place to pause and review any templates that A, you're not using, or B, that weren't working. And so that you can at least at a minimum flag those to fix those later. This becomes really important right now because it's going to help you have more accurate reporting. It's going to start you off not only next tax season, but just as you move into the next deadlines with a lot more of a clean slate, and your team's going to have a lot more clarity as well. A little bonus on this one, I would say, look at your communications and clean that up as much as possible too. Obviously, it's really easy to miss things, and we don't want to do that, especially from clients. And we want to just feel in control over what's happening inside of your system, your team, your business, and where your clients are at. If you do have a team at all, even if it's just two of you, one other thing that you can do right now that really helps from an ownership perspective is deciding who owns TaxDome. Having one person who is responsible for carrying TaxDome forward. That does not mean they're responsible for doing everything in TaxDome. It means that they own that and they own the process of improving it and optimizing it, working with the team to collect the feedback, creating a plan to move it forward. It doesn't maintain itself, unfortunately, in there. It does need a touch and some ownership from someone to make sure that you are making progress and that you are keeping it clean and you are actively managing it. We don't want it to get to the point where it's really overwhelming, to the point where nobody wants to use it anymore, right? And so if you can make sure that you are having that oversight and having that movement forward and putting that ownership onto someone on your team, it's a great way to make sure that it is being carried forward. Some things that you do not need to do right now, you don't need to rebuild everything immediately. You need that break. You need to think about it also because there might be some changes, some feature updates that come out soon. I know they're going to be releasing a few pretty quickly after tax season. And so we don't want to rebuild everything immediately. We just want to capture that knowledge, right? We don't also want to automate the process. So when you are looking through it and what worked and what didn't, be really careful not to say everything should be automated. We want to be really thoughtful about what we're automating, what we're keeping as something that's maybe manually done or looked at by your team, just really being thoughtful of that. We also don't want to add in too much complexity. I think this is one of the biggest things that I see firms doing is maybe they have 10 different ways of handling things and they want to fit that all into the pipeline. It makes it become really complex, which is hard to manage and hard to update. And while there is some huge benefits to being able to customize this for your client base, we do want to be careful to not overcomplicate the process. The more streamlined it is, it's going to ultimately give a better client experience, a better team experience, and you're going to feel a lot more in control over what's happening in your firm. And the last thing you do not want to do right now is you don't want to ignore this. Again, I know you're tired. I know you're ready for that break, and I know you deserve it. And your family knows, your friends know, everyone knows after tax season, you deserve to have a break. However, I do want to encourage you to not ignore TaxDome, to put in a little bit of time, have that meeting with your team, document these things so it's not completely forgotten and you're not losing that knowledge that you just gained. You're not trying to over-engineer things. You're just trying to understand where you're at, what went wrong, and what you can do better next time. So if this past tax season did feel a little bit harder than you feel like it should have, it's not necessarily that you guys are doing anything wrong. It's just that you need your systems to catch up to fully be able to support your firm and where you're at. And keep in mind, this changes every year. You are changing processes sometimes. You are taking on different types of work, different types of clients. There's AI changes, we know. There's so many things that change every year. This is an ongoing process. We can't just set it and forget it. We do need to revisit these things regularly. And we want to make sure that your systems are keeping up with where your firm is at and what you want it to look like going forward. And this is exactly what we actually do inside of the Future Proof Accountant membership. So we help firms just like yours to not just fix things, but to really keep them moving forward, to keep up with where your firm is at. So if you do want review or support with reviewing your workflows or with fixing your pipelines, building something that actually works to support your firm, then we would love to have you join us inside of the membership. Now is definitely the best time to do it. We're going to be sharing a lot of resources to help you get through the next year, basically now through like January, before next tax season. And we're going to line that up really nicely for you so you can improve the way that you operate and build a firm that works for you. So now's the best time to do it. Not next January, not next February, right now. Put in some time and you will not be sorry.